Yeah. Imagine that you are riding a motorcycle, okay, and you start receiving a call, okay. You have been waiting for your boss to call you all day long, okay, and now your phone is in your pocket, like vibrating, like bzz, bzz, okay. What if I tell you, okay, that you can use the chewing gum that you have inside your mouth in order to either answer or decline this call, okay? What if someone who is on a wheelchair, okay, doesn't need anymore to use both hands to move the wheelchair, or even just one to move the joystick? He or she can have free hands just by using the same chewing gum that I was talking about. What if even we can use the same chewing gum for complex tasks? For complex tasks, such as when you are using hands, feet, and it's not enough. Okay, you need an additional input channel. Okay, what if we use this chewing gum? Okay. Anyway, what's the solution of nowadays? Okay, the solution nowadays is basically interfaces that rely in gestures such as head movements, all right? Facial gestures, okay, we can also find a lot of interfaces relying on these gestures. Even nowadays, an off-the-shelf solution, which are voice assistants, or even in the last decades, the silent speech interfaces. All right? But there is a problem with all these interfaces. Okay? I spotted at least two. Okay? It doesn't apply to all of them, but they are really important. The first one... What's happening? Give me a sec. Okay, the first one is the privacy, okay? So what if I want to make a personal appointment and I'm in a public space, such as the subway? I probably will stop using the interface because it's not an adequate context, okay? Also, whenever I'm using this sort of interfaces, I'm drawing undesired attention to me. Like, if I'm talking with a person, why... I need to do head movements, okay? That it's a really awkward position, and that's why I present Chewit, which is a non-attached intraoral interface, okay? Basically, what it means is that it's an interface that goes inside the mouth, and it's not attached to any tissue, right? I asked the volunteers, I brought for all of you some candies. You have lollies, you have hard candies, different sort, okay? Just as a sample of appreciation that you all came here, okay? And let me ask why Chewit proposes a different paradigm in contrast with the current how is it called? Current interfaces. It's because Chewit presents what I call a dualistic behavior, okay? Now look at me, whenever someone is not interacting with Chewit, it becomes invisible for the people around you. Like right now, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but I'm wearing one of my prototypes. Okay? This one is pretty big, actually, okay? The model that we are proposing is even smaller. The second one, okay, well, this one was the slide for the invisible, but the second one is that when you're interacting with Chewit, no one will know that you are interacting because you are basically having this natural, how is it called, natural behavior, which is having something in your mouth, like an edible, all right? And so, how do we even start to design an interface like this, okay? First of all, you need to take into account that this interface needs to be natural looking. So we are going to try to imitate gestures that we will do with edible objects, like the gummies that I don't know if you already have your gummy, that you can do with a gummy, okay, such as biting it, such as rotating it, moving around your mouth, or even put it in the tongue of in the top of the tongue and play with it, all right? So, in order to perform all these gestures, first thing that you need to do is allow the user to have a perception of how the interface is positioned inside the mouth, all right? And I'm going to go, we did several experiments that you can find in our paper, okay? But I'm going to go through a really easy and simple explanation, okay? About the form factor, about how you perceive this kind of interface inside your mouth, okay? First thing, you start with a really basic geometrical shape, like a rectangular prism, okay? And the first thing that you need to take into account is that you will put this in someone's mouth and it's going to be in contact with soft tissues. So the first thing that you want to do is remove the corners and smoothen the surface, which we get basically what I call an ovoid, okay? But now we have another problem, like how the user knows where the ovoid is pointing. Is it forward, backwards? Okay, so here what I did is, okay, let's introduce an asymmetry, okay? The first asymmetry that I propose is the one that it just gives a direction to the object. So now the user knows if it's looking forward or backward. But again, we have a problem. The user doesn't know if it's looking downwards or upwards. So here we need another asymmetry. But at the same time, we also need to take into account where the interface is going to be located, okay? Within our experiments, we came to the conclusion that there are two different spots, really optimal, okay, in terms of comfort and in terms of discreteness, which is, you can see it here, location 1 and location 2 next to the maxillary muscle, okay? Basically, we ended up choosing the location 2 because it's closer to the cheekbone and it proposes a coverage for which the, how is it called? It allows for much more discrete usage. Okay? So going back to our asymmetric ovoid, the next asymmetry that we want to do is based on, we have in one side a hard, flat tissue, such as the gum, and in the other side you have a cheek, which is a flexible tissue. So in order to increase the grip for the cheek, you will want to maximize the surface, having a round area. For the part of the gum, you want to have a flat area because it will also maximize the area of, the surface of contact, okay, which will also release tissue pressure. Okay. Next question in terms of design is, do we want to do a hard prototype or a soft prototype? For the hard prototype, we have a problem. It's really uncomfortable to bite hard objects. It's really, really, really uncomfortable. In terms of soft materials, the problem is a technology limitation. If you bite the electronics, you will probably break them. So we want to find a middleman, something in between these two. And for this, we propose for Chiwit, again, something in between. What we did is we propose a hard case, okay, that in the future it will be sufficiently biocompatible by insulating the electronics in a case that will protect the body against the heavy metals inside the electronics, okay? Also, on top of this, because it's hard and it's uncomfortable to bite, we propose the addition of a silicone layer, or maybe in the future another material. You have 2 layers of this, so you can wrap one against each other, okay? And then when you stop using it, you are done, then you just peel it off, okay? And then you can throw this into the trash, but still have your prototype, okay? This will allow to a much more hygienic prototype. During my research, I got 2 main questions, okay? The first question is, can I choke on the device? The answer is yes. Of course you can. But let me ask you something. From the candies that I just gave you, who of you was afraid of choking? Anyone? All right. That's the answer. As humans, we have this so-called oral stereognotic ability, okay? And we are basically as good with the mouth as, near as good with the mouth that we are with our hands, even though we cannot see what is happening inside the mouth, okay? The second question is, why don't you spend your time in something useful like attach interfaces, okay? Like retainers, like the one that you see here. There are already existing prototypes and research about these ones. My question is based in two parameters. The first one is tissue stress. If you have something attached to a soft tissue, it will produce a huge amount of stress in this soft tissue. That's why designers go and use the hard tissues inside the mouth, which are the teeth. And this brings me to the second parameter. If you use the teeth, everyone has a unique dental record, which means you will have to customize each one of these prototypes. With Chewit, we found out like with two sizes, you can they can fit to most of our users. That was the end of my talk. I hope this is like a starting point for researchers to invest their time into keep on researching non-attached intraoral interfaces. Thank you very much.
So we have 5 minutes for questions. Yeah, you can use the microphone, so just come here and...
Hi, thank you. Gilad from IDC Israel. I'm just wondering about like tongue piercings and stuff like that, things that are more connected, and to your, like you can pierce your tongue.
Can you scream a little bit?
You can really put a piercing in your tongue. Do you know that?
The what?
Make a hole in your tongue and make like an earring only in your tongue. Do you know this?
Yep.
So do you think about things that are connected to the body and not things that are ejectable?
So, of course, I think about this. The question is, do users really want to go through a medical procedure? I said medical procedure is not like a huge one, it's just making a piercing. But still, does everyone want to wear a piercing? That's a really a drawback for some users. That's why I didn't want to spend, that's why I want to find an alternative for this. Thank you for the question.
Hello. Thank you for your presentation. Fochila Rokabis from Masaryk University. Have you thought about health and safety issues? You gave us an example of motorbike. I find it extremely bad example. You might swallow the device. Have you thought about these cases? Maybe in some other cases it's a nice interface, but in the example you gave us, I wouldn't try it because something might happen in the road and you might swallow it. Or...
It was not the best example. It was a clear example.
Okay, thank you.
It's just a really classical example of that you can live every day. Like even for me, it was happening. Like I was riding my motorcycle and I had to pull over because I wanted to answer this. Well, it was not a call; it was a message. So it's more to infer to a daily thing that can happen to you. We can find other how do you call other examples. Like, what if you are carrying your grocery bags? You have your groceries. You have one bag in each hand. Why I cannot use the chewing gum to talk with someone while I'm carrying my groceries instead of pulling my phone out or having another interface doing that? Did that convince you a little bit more? Awesome. We can talk afterwards if you want.
Hello. Karan Ahuja, Carnegie Mellon University. Great talk. I have a question. When using this device, did you encounter any speech impediments, or like when you use this device, does it affect your speech in any way? Like the way you speak or your speech interactions with people?
I didn't understand the question. Can you help me? Because
Can you repeat the question?
So you use this device while giving your talk. So when you're speaking, does this device affect it in any way, like your speech patterns or the way you speak?
Oh, you can refer to the paper for this kind of information. I actually I actually demonstrate in the paper that the shape is really important in terms of speech affection. Okay, mostly because you can even generate a second cavity within your cheek, so this will change the airflow. Also, you can have even the facial expression can change in terms of puffiness. Your face becomes puffy, and also in terms of facial expression, like if you, depending on the shape that you choose, it will limit the way you smile or the way that you use your mouth.
As a follow-up to that, when the facial expressions change or when the speech changes, did you do any study like to encounter the Midas touch problem, like when involuntary gestures lead to any voluntary actions on the interfaces?
I didn't understand, sorry.
Can you repeat it?
So when people are speaking or making facial expressions, did you ever encounter this Midas touch problem, which is basically that involuntary gestures lead to like a voluntary action in your interfaces?
Did you understand? I'm sorry because
I guess I'll
my
catch you after
English
the talk.
is not super extremely good. So
I guess I'll catch you after the talk, and we can chat then.
yeah, we can catch up later if you want.
In the coffee break, yeah.
Thank you very much for your questions.